You might remember that words like jumped and played and decided all have something in common. All of these are verbs in the past simple tense. How do we know this? It's because words like jumped, played, and decided all have the final letters ED. The pronunciation of these final ED letters is a little different depending on the verb. In fact, there are 3 different groups of pronunciation for the final ED letters in past simple verbs, and each group pronounces the ED letters in a slightly different way. But don't be scared. Today, I'm going to give you some tips of how to say the final ED letters in each group properly. And I'm going to give you some examples to help you remember which verbs go with each group. The first group is the T group. We can see this sound in past simple verbs like jumped, cooked, and washed. Repeat the words after me. Jumped, cooked, and washed. Can you hear the T sound at the end of the word? Why do these past simple verbs make a T sound? Let's look at jump. In the present, the final sound is P. The P sound is voiceless. So, when we say this verb in the past, we say jumped. It's the same thing with cook. The final sound in the present verb cook is k. K. Remember that k is a voiceless sound. So, when we say cook in the past, we say cooked. Finally, let's look at wash. Remember that I said to think about the final sound, not the final letter. The final sound in the verb wash is sh. Sh is a voiceless sound. So, when we say wash in the past, we say washed. The next group is the D group. We can see and hear this sound in verbs like played, listened, and changed. Repeat the words after me so you can practice the D sound. Played, listened, changed. Can you hear the D sound at the end of these words? Well, we have to go back to the present verb, and we have to look and listen to the final sound. If the final sound is a voiced sound, then this verb in the past will have a D sound at the end. The final sound in play is a Y sound. So, play in the present is played in the past. The same thing happens with listen. Listen has a sound. The is a voiced sound. So in the past, listen becomes listened. Finally, we have change. The final sound is j. J is a voiced sound. So in the past simple tense, change becomes changed. The third and final group is the id group. It appears in words like started, decided, and needed. Repeat after me so you can hear the id sound at the end of these words. Started, decided, needed. Can you hear the id sound? When the final sound, not letter, is a t or a d sound, then in the past simple, we say id. For example, in start, the final sound is t. So in the past simple, start becomes started. The same thing happens with decide. The d is the final sound, so decide becomes decided in the past simple tense. And look at need. The final sound in need is d, so need in the present becomes needed in the past. In exercise 20, you're going to practice what you learned about the pronunciation of the regular past simple verbs. In exercise 20, you're going to try to say each of the verbs out loud in the past tense. Then you're going to circle the correct ending of that verb. Here are some examples. With ask, the final sound k is voiceless. So we know that in the past simple version of this verb, we should say asked and circle the blue t sound. With annoy, the final sound of annoy is the y sound. The y sound is voiced. So in the past simple tense, we say annoyed, and we must circle the red d sound. There are quite a few verbs here, so what you might want to do is do this activity with a partner. You take turns saying the verbs, and you help each other to decide what the correct sound is. Do this carefully, and feel free to watch the video again if you need to remember how we pronounce different verbs in the past simple and why we pronounce them in this way. Good luck!